All right, guys. So we have the press conference from Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan for the selection of defensive tackle Derek Harmon. I just had the video come out of my really reaction to not like a live reaction, but my reaction to picking Derek Harmon. And so if you want to see that, go check it out. And this is part of just a whole other video where it's like Missy Matthews and Mike Pursuta before. So I just fast forwarded to when we see Coach and Omar, and if they cut back to Missy and Mike, then I'll pause it, and if I have any notes, then we'll go over it there. So let's see what Mike and Omar had to say about selecting Derek Harmon.
Hey guys, how are you? Obviously an exciting day for us. I think the other day when we met, we talked about certain guys that we would not trade away from, and this is one of those players for us. The phone was ringing and we had some serious conversations, but at the end of the day, once Derek was still there, we were excited, and it was an easy choice for us. But said can't wait to get him here. He fits the Pittsburgh Steelers, and like I said, I can't wait to get him in here. Coach.
Like Omar said, man, he has Steeler DNA. For us, man, it starts inside and up front. And this is a guy that's capable of dominating that space versus the run and the pass. And so we're really excited about having him. As Omar mentioned, man, we weren't interested in considering trading away from him, and really excited about getting him in here and getting started.
Was it to get a defensive lineman, and what do you like about this guy additionally to what you said?
Extreme urgency, to be quite honest with you. There's no substitute for young talent. You don't have a chance to fill a quality defense unless you're stout inside and up front. And this is a young guy, man, that has an opportunity to learn from the likes of Cam Hayward and put his hand in that pile and be a significant contributor for us for years to come.
Do you listen at all just in case somebody wants to blow your doors off or something, an offer?
I mean, obviously you do. We were working the phones, several picks before ours, and you listen. You have to. We owe it to ourselves to listen, and you don't know how it's going to shake out. When you're 5 or 6 picks ahead, and you obviously listen, and you weigh things. But at the end of the day, he was just one of those players we were not going to trade away from.
The way the board shook out, we were starting to wonder if he might be there, because there was a little bit of a run on it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're watching it like you guys are, and we don't know what those other teams are going to pick, and it just worked out for us.
A lot of defensive linemen, obviously, in this first class. Did you see something in Harmon that maybe stood out, specifically related to the Steelers?
I just think he's been impressive at every step of the process for us. His tape was impressive. We had great visits with him in Indy. He came to Pittsburgh, man. We had a great day with him. Just with each interaction, we all got more and more comfortable with he was our type of a guy.
Him learning from Cam.
Yeah, he was a top 30 visit.
To add Derek Harmon.
Cam's a team player. He wasn't really advocating for anyone, to be quite honest with you. But he's a quality leader, and I'm sure that he will take that personally.
Mike, you talked about the urgency at defensive tackle. How did the way the run defense struggled down the stretch inform that urgency?
The tape is the tape, and so we're behaving appropriately. You don't have a chance to have a top-notch defense unless you're smashing the run and getting after the quarterback. And this is a guy whose resume says he's capable of contributing in both areas.
You pointed out to us on Tuesday, you only have 2 quarterbacks on the roster. You want to have 4 when you get to Latrobe. Were you at all tempted to go QB with only 1 guy off the board by the time you got up to 21?
We were on the clock. We got the player that we wanted.
Throughout the draft process, there was some noise about some medical concerns about Derek. Any red flags there when you guys met with him at all?
We wouldn't have picked him unless we were our medical staff and we were comfortable with it.
Yeah, we had him in on a pre-draft 30 visit, had an opportunity to get our docs, him in front of our docs, and we were extremely comfortable with that component.
See, part of it's medical, part of it's
about how
talking
you
to
guys
the
play a lot of
players.
sub-package football. With Derek Harmon leading college football in pressures, how much can he contribute
as a 3-down type of player?
I think that was one of the critical points I wanted to make. He's a big man. He's stout against the run. His resume and tape confirms that. But he's also a major, major threat in terms of getting after the quarterback. Probably tops in this draft class in terms of interior rushman. And so, we got us a big man that's capable of being significant for us in all circumstances. And that's just, that's what you want when you're talking about first round of the draft.
Obviously, he's got a lot of attractive traits, length and size and everything like that. But can you go into the football IQ part of it? It just seems like he's got it's definitely more.
His intangible qualities are very attractive. He's a smart guy. He's a football guy. He's got natural leadership skills. The people at Oregon were really blown away by his ability to fit in, and not only fit in, but lead in a short period of time. He had a similar reputation at Michigan State. And so the tangible things are obvious, but we were equally as impressed with his intangible quality, his intellect, his relationship with the game, his natural leadership qualities.
During your conversations with him, was there something that really stuck out to you, impressed you, was a note in that way?
Just for a young guy, I thought he had an awesome sense of self. He was comfortable in his shoes. He had a real agenda about, what he's trying to get done within the game of football. He's got a desire to be great. All of those things were attractive.
Omar, you hit the offensive line hard the first 2 years you're here, flipping over to the defense. Is that obviously the plan when you took over here, to hammer those two areas?
Yeah, you guys have heard me talk about the big guys on both, and that just doesn't apply to the offensive side, obviously. So, yeah, we same thing. Defensive side, there was an opportunity, and those big guys they're not easy to find, and
No, they're not.
when you have the opportunity to get a good one, we're going to get them.
Like, how much versatility is there with Cam and Derek and playing the 3 and the 5, and how do you see them being on the field at the same time?
I'm anticipating those guys working well together. I've seen Derek dominate in terms of the pass rush from the A gap or the B gap. We've all been looking at Cam do that for a long period of time. And so I think we're going to have great flexibility there in terms of how we choose to deploy those guys.
Can he play any nose if needed?
I don't think nose is his game, but the rush component at 3 and 5 and some of those things certainly.
Obviously, throughout this process, there's still a whole draft to go. The 6 more rounds to go. But when you consider Keanu Benton and his role, do you still view him more as closer to a nose or a 3, or do you just want to get as many bodies in front as you can?
I think we got 2 quality young players, man, that hopefully are going to play a long time together, man, and have a great deal of success. Both guys are versatile. Both guys are stout against the run. Both guys are pass rush capable. And so, we'll sort some of those details out once we get them on the grass and begin the process of team development for 2025.
Once you got to 21, was there a deliberation? Did you go over it, or did you just say, wow, here we are, here's our guy?
Yeah, we knew before it was easy. He was there. We were taking him.
Two more. For either one of you guys, obviously nobody getting picked tonight's a finished product, but where are some areas where Derek specifically still needs to improve coming in here?
Wait, what was the question? Say again?
No, I was going to say, obviously nobody's a finished product in the draft, but where are some areas specifically where Derek still needs to improve to get to the next level?
He's a young guy. I think he's 21 years old, and I think the ceiling's really high for him, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, I think we can all improve at everything we do in life, but he's got a good opportunity.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, not to specifically avoid answering your question, but 21-year-old guy, he's got a lot of tools in his toolbox, but there's a lot of areas for improvement as he transitions from college to professional
He's
football.
young. He's going to improve
sense of it,
all over.
as we begin to work and see him in that setting.
What do you remember about when Harmon first got on your radar as a prospect, and what stood out to you maybe from the beginning?
We talked to him in Indy, and but we had our meetings before that, and he's just a guy that stood out. We had done a lot of homework on him. We had a lot of contacts in Michigan State, and obviously Oregon. We know some people, and it was just, he checked a lot of boxes for us.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
All right, there we go. All right, well, I feel that is the perfect thing to have sit here while we talk. So, it does make me wonder if Harmon, Grant, and Nolan were all there, would the Steelers have considered trading back at all? That does give me like a little bit of a pause to be like, would you have? Or would you have just stayed there and taken Harmon? And obviously it's, we got our guy, like, you're gonna say that. Like, you know, how shitty would it be? Man, we really wanted Nolan. This was our number 2, like, you know. But no, they needed defensive line. Like, that it was their need. They needed defensive line, and they got it. And they brought up the nose, right? The nose tackle. And Mike Tomlin said, you know, I really don't think that's his game. Right. It's not. You know, he's going to play like kind of like a D-end-ish. And that's how he's going to be effective, just like Cam. And whether you have Keanu play nose, or if you want him to kind of have that similar kind of role of D-end, and what you could do is draft a true nose. Like, I think they absolutely could, not tomorrow, but Saturday, take a true nose tackle. Whether it's, you know, it doesn't have to be the 4th round, it could be the 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever. But take a nose, you know? And then you have your, because those guys don't play a ton of snaps. That's why I didn't like Kenneth Grant as much as Harmon or Nolan. Grant's a nose. So, yes, like, I think he's good for both pass rush and run stopping, just like they said. You know, his length, he's got that. Like, he's kind of built like Cam in a way. So, and that's the thing. Like, if this was truly their guy, especially with him being like the last really, really good D tackle out there, then yeah, I'm not trading. As soon as Walter Nolan went off the board, I'm like, if Harmon's there, I'm taking him. I'm not trading back at all. And I'm making sure I get my D lineman. Here you go. So, absolutely agree with what the Steelers said here. Whether they truly mean it or not is debated, or can be debated. Because that's the thing. Was this really your guy? Well, clearly you had a choice of him and Shedeur Sanders, and you chose him. So, it really was a position in need. You know, if you want to try to stop the run, you need guys on the line. So, alright, that is it for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on. I will have a video for our 3rd round pick, and if there's any trades, you know, if we give up next year's 2 and, you know, and something, because you're not just going to trade next year's 2 for a 2 now. But if we give up next year's 2 and something else, and get into the 2nd round this year to make a pick, I'll have a video for that. And I could even talk about, you know, did we give up too much? Did we give up too little? So, I can always talk about that too. If you guys, though, really, if you could do those for me, I'd appreciate it. And I'll see all you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.